Fellas, take a trip with me as we explore more health and fitness in Monroe, Louisiana. Look at the senior citizens couple on the window. Not quite sure what to expect as I protruded the freaking facility. Tons of cardio equipment, which we always bypass. I walk in here, first thing I see, fellas, is the 1990s, early 90s. Place is decked out with the Body Masters, which is no longer in business. You know, I talked to all these gym owners, again, because Body Masters headquarters was in the freaking Louisiana area or something like that. So they were the big time distributors of all the heavy duty bodybuilding equipment. But anyways, this will be a solid tour, fellas, as you can see from the equipment in the back. I just wanted to test this sucker out because I did another gym, I believe it was called Big Papa's in Lafayette, Louisiana, and it had this Body Masters, this style of like cable preacher curl, where it's more of a like a higher angle, and you know, succulent. Stretch the buys out, get a nice little pump before you do the excavation of the old school equipment. Check out the donkey calf raise. You know, you see a donkey calf raise at the gym means serious business. Pause. Let's look at these freaking Rocky Balboa 1980s decline sit-ups, right? And then pause again. Let's look at this freaking Nautilus, first generation shoulder press, which is hilarious because you don't see shoulder presses like designed that way anymore. But, it's a shame. I think they realized that the shoulder press design was inferior. Look at that. Look at the wood construction of the foot plate on this Nautilus machine. I get a kick out of when I see wood on a machine. That's that classic Nautilus pec deck / press. Look at this chest press machine, and look at how low the handles are in comparison to the bench. I tried getting in there, fellas, and I couldn't. You'd have to dislocate your shoulder joints in order to press. I mean, I'm sure the stretch is incredible. All right, pause for a second. Butt Buster, as we now renamed it, the Butt Blaster, for a more intense sensation of the gluteus. This is funny because it was a Butt Buster, and now you see that machine everywhere, and it says Butt Blaster. Classic pullover machine. Classic. I love the design of these like multi-machine stations back in the day when people weren't so antisocial. You know what I mean? You do some freaking chest press. Across from me as I do some low rows, we lock eyes. That's okay. Again, check out the, look at the freaking, you would have to have the thickness of a sheet of loose leaf paper to fit into that chest press. And look at this freaking just colossal sit-up contraption. I think that's what that was. It must have been a weighted sit-up. The thing the size of a master, like 5-seat love couch, whatever the hell you call it. I love the row machines where you have to put your feet up high, where it's like giving the birth position for the row. I can't keep up with how fast this footage is moving. Let me elaborate that this footage is from about 3 or so months ago. But, I'm still getting my feet wet. Let's pause and look at this sucker for a second, shall we? This thing is a sarcophagus, right? And what the hell is this? This looks like some sort of gigantic 10,000 tons of construction for, I don't even know. I want to say maybe that was a seated calf raise or something. But then we get back to the workout here, fellas, and I don't know. I mean, because again, this was like 3 or 4 months ago, so I was maybe more in the cookie cutter phase. So I was, I wanted to move some weight, but I don't know what I was thinking. So anyways, let's just highlight that they have, of course, the old school equipment that you can't find anymore, the Nautilus, the Body Masters. But then there's also the, cookie cutter, find in every single gym, hammer strength machines. I hope I didn't record. Okay, so I recorded both arms here as well. So really just killing the groove and the vibe with this footage. I'm sorry about this, fellas. I've gotten better with my gym tours. I don't know what I was thinking shooting this footage here, because I want to just show you guys more of the gym. But for some reason, I put a 27-minute set in between of a machine that you can find anywhere. Not quite sure. I was thinking as I was shooting this, but we will carry on. Let's check out the plate loaded footage. So Deese, just a freaking Cybex leg press, I believe that is. Some sort of old school shoulder press contraption there, multi-angular. Okay, a lot of heavy duty, solid stuff, like a dip station. We're talking business when there's just a freaking bars, just thick bars for dips. I believe I'm showing the dumbbells here, but I'm also showing off the mirrors because in my opinion, a mirror makes a gym. If it's a wide mirror, a skinny mirror, it's going to change your psychology. You want the best psych as you're lifting. Pause in the 130s. It's decent. It's better than Crunch. It's better than LA Fitness. But by my standards now, as I've traveled the world and seen gyms from afar, I mean, the dumbbells could be better. And I'll be honest, now that I know what I'm looking for, I don't see any posters of Golden Era, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Platz, Dorian Yates. I don't see any of that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of what's missing here. Now this is an old school T-bar row I found. It's got to be a Body Masters. It feels good. It's durable. It's heavy duty. It can handle max loads. Oh brother, and here's another cookie cutter hammer strength machine. At least the least I could have done for you guys was edited the footage. But I guess let's check out this boring set of chest press. Again, let's elaborate, fellas. At this time, I was on the road for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So when I would be going to the gyms, it was kind of just a mish-mash. Strength could never have been the focus because you never know what would be available, and obviously I wouldn't be bringing belts and things of that sort required to actually give up max effort like deadlifts and squats and things of that. So usually when I was on the road, it was just, you find cool pushing and pulling stuff. You get an arm pump, you get a little chest and latissimus dorsi pump, and you travel to the next town, I think I'm doing this behind the neck shoulder press just because this is an old school Body Masters. It took me back to the 90s. And I want to say that, all the bodybuilders in the 90s did behind the neck, Smith machine, shoulder press. Now, I will say I'm assuming what felt like horse crap. Therefore, I stopped doing it instantly. And I went to this really, janky, seated overhead press, which this thing was funny because I want to say it was almost dangerous. I think it was like bent and curved in a sense. I can't remember exactly. Again, this was 3 or 4 months ago. But I believe because I never really go for broke when I'm on the road. So I do more about max reps with everything. I'm moving poundage, but as you've noticed a trend with my videos, I never max out barbell bench on the road. It's always just max reps with dumbbells. Thinking about safety in that regard. But now, that I'm free from my contract, I can get back to training. Maybe the way I used to, I suppose. More intensity, single repetitions, getting back into more deadlifts. Somebody brought up shooting for the 1,000-pound trap bar deadlift. I think that is perhaps one I should get into. Now, the other ones, the Jefferson deadlifts, the behind-the-back deadlifts, I don't know if my body can even take the abuse of those odd, strange lifts anymore, with my spine. Last time I've done that, when I seriously have done that, before WWE, I was 29, was when I was in my Zercher phase. So that was 6 years ago. Time, fellas, is our greatest ally, yet our greatest enemy. With time, we can do anything we want, right? With enough time and effort, you can achieve anything with the proper resources. But at the same time, age is a very real factor in fitness, and the injuries accumulate. The the rigidness of mobility degrades, or whatever. You get what I'm saying. Which is why I was doing the Pilates. People wanted me to talk about the Pilates. Well, our daughter goes to school. A fellow, my daughter's friend's mom has a Pilates studio. I figured, what the hell, I've tried yoga in my life. I've done Tai Chi as an easy college credit to get an A, but I don't think I got an A in it. I don't know if maybe I wasn't graceful enough, but I've done it all. But what I have not done was Pilates. And fellas, let me tell you something about Pilates. I think somebody tried giving me some BS about how it's like grandmothers do it. But fellas, Pilates is no different. Now, granted, I'm only speaking on 3 or 4, classes, privates, whatever, trying stuff out. But you can make Pilates just as intense and hardcore as you can lifting weights. So anytime the, I don't know, what you call him, a Pilates instructor? Anytime the instructor would, show me things or ask me what I want to do, I always go to I just want to max out. I want to max out on the freaking leg lifts on the chair or whatever it is. She shows me a movement. I don't know. I'm a total newbie when it comes to Pilates. It's like, a 12-year-old picking up okay, let me put it this way. I said 12. I started lifting weights at 11. Guys, my brain is just freaking everywhere. I've seen stuff where people are like, Rick the Stick's been training for, a decade. It's like, no, fellas. Rick the Stick has been training for 2.5 decades, right? I started lifting weights when I was 11. In December, towards the end of December, I'll be 36. That's 25 years of lifting weights, okay? I'm proud of that because just the levels, like the entry of when I was 11 years old, my dad bought a home gym Weeders, like the freaking Weeder empire, guys. The Weeder Designer Whey protein, the Weeder Gold's Gym is different. I don't know, but it was like the Weeder, bodybuilding books, the Joe Weider's training logs you could buy, like. Just in the 90s, everything was Joe Weider. I'm sure it was the same in the 80s and the 70s too, but I can only speak from the 90s, like the late 90s. It's pretty funny. So I had like the Joe Weider books, then like the bodybuilding books. Then at 12, this was after a year of lifting, I was, it's freaking hardcore at that point, 12 years old. At Barnes & Noble, I bought the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, which I find is hilarious. The Modern Bodybuilding, Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. And it's all black and white. And, it's all modern with pictures of freaking, Sergio Olivia and stuff. So, hilarious about that. I would go through the Gold's Gym books and I would see the exercises, just the most incredibly juiced up freaks of the 90s with the vascularity that your 11-year-old brain can't even fathom what they're looking at, right? And I would, there's like the instructions of how to do like a barbell curl and stuff. So obviously, that's how I kind of start doing my thing. And then I buy the Arnold Encyclopedia. It's like, well, frickin' Arnold's the greatest ever. And of course, in his Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, he's got his program or whatever in there. It's like the beginner version, the intermediate, and then the advanced. Well, 12-year-old kid, 12-year-old brain, I want to be freaking advanced. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm doing the Arnold's, 4-hour. It's like this freaking, the stuff he's got. It's like 50 exercises. Or including like an hour of calves, like at the end or something like that. The most insane program of just took so long. I remember doing it, and I would be like 2 hours deep as this 12-year-old kid, just like looking at oh my God, I still have 6 different exercises each, 4 sets of 20 for each one or something. And it's pretty funny. But I mean, I did that, that's the only way I knew how to lift, I guess, basically, until I went to college, because in wrestling in high school, we didn't have like a lifting program that they put us through in wrestling. You would always hear about how, Olympic barbell cleans and the Olympic lifts are really what's good for athleticism. And I had no idea. I would try them from time to time, and it would just end up being a cat-backed reverse barbell curl. And I was like, how the hell is this going to help me with wrestling, right? With 95 pounds on the bar. It probably would have helped, honestly, if I did the football strength and conditioning program. But, wrestling's a unique beast because, like, strength will help you, but strength's really not that important. There's a lot to it. Like, specifically, honestly, mental toughness is probably the thing that's going to separate a winner from a loser the most. And I got beaten up by my brother and his friends a lot as a kid, and that kind of hardened my brain and made me tougher than other kids, I think. So with that being said, like, when you have siblings, being the youngest, I think, just makes you grow up being scrappy. You're just fighting for your life every single day. So, again, in my mind, though, like, my lifting was good because, I was winning in wrestling. So it's like, I don't need to change the way I lift. And from my understanding, like, wrestling was a lot of pulling, and I was already doing just a million pull-ups and lat pull-downs and stuff anyway, so. But then, fast forward into a few years later, and so I would say I was 12 at this point. My brother, I don't know how he even found this information, but he discovered Charles Poliquin as like a 15 or 16-year-old kid, and bought the Charles Poliquin. I can't remember what the book is now, but apparently on Amazon it's like hundreds of dollars now, like the first edition. And it had all the tempos, like, which was just an unheard of thing. Like, Arnold in his Modern Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding didn't talk about like tempo training and stuff like that. So then he bought the tempos or bought it, the 3-second eccentric, the second pause on the bottom, the 3-1-X, whatever, something like that. However you phrase the tempo training stuff. So then we kind of bought into that a tad bit, but I was more always into the Arnold. I'm like, just stick with this. This is a classic. This is real bodybuilding. And then I got to college for college wrestling then. Basically, they put us through, because college wrestling gets no glory and no love from the athletic department or anything. So they basically just put us through the football program. So it was basically just push-pull. No, not push-pull. And it's kind of, but not really. It was more of an upper-lower. Monday was lower body. Tuesday was upper body. Wednesday was just get right day, like flush day, sled pushes and that kind of stuff. And then depending on like the dual meet schedule and stuff during the season, it could be off, or in the off season, then it was obviously back to lower body Thursday, upper body Friday. So yeah, that was when squats and curl or power cleans and all that kind of stuff got introduced. But it was interesting because we never deadlifted or anything like that in college. It was just squats, bench, cleans, weighted pull-ups, all that good stuff, back extensions from time to time. But yeah, that was the extent of it. And then I met at just a random gym. I didn't really buy into the heavy stuff still at that, but it wasn't until I was 22, I'm lifting at the local Globo Jabroni gym where a lot of like just bodybuilder wannabes would go, super weak people. I saw one guy that knew how to kind of power lift, and I couldn't believe it. He must have had, honestly, it was probably 585, and I couldn't even believe how many weights, and everyone was just swarmed around him. Nobody could believe their eyes. Because keep in mind that, so this is probably 2010, so still like nobody's really posting 800-pound deadlifts online or whatever, or that's not really a phenomenon, and that's not super popular at this point either. So like you're going to just a local jabroni global gym and someone's doing 585 pounds on a deadlift, like Yeah, everybody in the gym is just swarmed around. They can't believe what they're seeing. And I don't know, I just couldn't understand. But anyways, so I'm working out this one day, and this random Russian guy comes up to me, starts talking to me, and he asked me how much I deadlift. And, you know, I'm still just kind of just a bodybuilding jabroni at this point. I'm like, I could probably do like 335. I'm thinking that's pretty good. And then he tells me that that's like despicable for someone my size. Like it's not very good. I'm like, what? And I'm kind of offended. He invites me over to his house, and I have no clue. And he ends up teaching me, you know, how to use kettlebells and deadlifting and behind the back deadlifting, and just unveiling all these secrets of, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, it's all so different to me. Because keep in mind, like, resources available back then versus now. Like, now you can go online and you can find anything you want, and everything's just exposed to you. But like kettlebells and behind the back deadlifts, and it was just strange stuff. But I bought into it. I did it. I just started doing that stuff for a few months and just like doubled my strength. And just from that alone, not changing diet, not changing anything too, just deadlifting and doing all that kind of stuff, I just put 10 pounds on with changing nothing. So that's why when people ask me too about easiest ways to put size on or whatever, it's like, well, if you don't lift heavy with just doing deadlifts, for instance, like, because I was benched my whole life, but it really was incorporating heavy deadlifts. It's like really the main difference. And that put like 10 pounds on me as someone that had already been lifting for 11 years. The only change, okay? Anyways, I don't even know what we're talking about. I don't know how we got to this point. I really don't know how we got into this, but I guess I should probably wrap it up. If somebody can remind me in the comments how we even got into talking about this, then please drop it below, and maybe it'll help me pick it up of what my point was even going to be in the first place. But yeah, I for the life of me, I can't even remember what we're talking about right now.